How to let go of pricing guilt. There are two ways that I see people respond to pricing guilt. One, collapse. Give in to the guilt and shame, internal and or external, and lower their prices. Or two, puff up. Take on a crusader position and go into full inner or outer fight mode, defending their prices and thus themselves from guilt and shame by being a rebel with the cause. I myself have become a full expert in both of the above methods on my journey, but I am here to propose a third option and middle way. Because the reality is both of the above options are rooted in a place of scarcity, guilt, and shame. One is collapsing into it, and one is defending against it, but both are haunted by, and thus giving power to, that guilt and shame. If you are here in my community, then you already know on some level that the energy you do anything with is the energy that is created, and thus perpetuated. In other words, you can't hustle your way into ease. And you can't guilt, shame, or defend your way into peace with yourself or your prices, no matter how hard you try. You see, both of these things give power to guilt and shame, and both of these things give power to scarcity. And that is not what you want to create and recreate. And the only way to do that is to stop giving it power with your belief in it. Now read me here. It is not what you charge or how much you charge that matters, but whether you collapse or puff up. Because you can come from a place of love and abundance in you and charge pennies or many, many thousands of dollars. It is not the dollar amount. It is the energy you are choosing to nourish with whatever it is you charge. If you think you're asking too much and someone tells you you're asking too much and you believe it, then you are limiting the possibilities, not just for you, but for them too, and for all of humanity. They are essentially saying with that there is not enough, there will never be enough, and you are not enough either because you're being too much. And you are essentially agreeing with them and that energy and then feeding it by collapsing into pleasing mode to gain back their love and approval, or to relieve yourself of the guilt and shame you feel around asking and around being perceived as too much, or the 1,000 other ways you're judging yourself and therefore others, instead of allowing yourself to face and feel that to the fullest and release its power over you. When the simple and plain fact is, it may or may not be too much for them at this time. And that is not a flaw with them or with you. They are not less for that, and neither are you. But we make each other less, and we make each other wrong when we're carrying guilt and shame. It's a self-protection measure, and it too is nobody's fault. It's just how the ego works. Puffing up is exactly the same thing. It is fighting and defending against judgment because secretly you still carry a lot of guilt and shame. Except instead of collapsing into it, you try to put on weapons and armor against it. And you get up on a soapbox and you build a lot of evidence to support your worthy cause. This too is nobody's fault. And it's not better or worse. It's just a self-protection measure, just the same. It's just how the mind and ego works. Like I said, I have done plenty of both of these methods, and I still have both voices in my head all the time. But when you are aware of this fact and pattern, a new possibility is born. The possibility of seeing what's happening and not acting on it. To say, oh, hi, scarcity. Hi, fear. I see you. Thanks for your input, but I believe in abundance and a win-win-win for everyone. My intention here is love. If they think it's too much, that's okay. I respect that's true for them and wish them nothing but the best. It doesn't mean anything about me or about them. It is just a simple mismatch when you take all this guilt and defending of identities out of the equation. They need something, and I need something, and both of us deserve to have that, but it may not be from each other. I am grateful that my free sharing and presence is what served them enough to reach out to me in the first place. And I'm grateful that they were able to help me further say yes to my yes and let them say yes to their yes, which is a no in this case. Because I know there is enough for everyone, and that is the energy I'm going to bring, because that is what I'm creating with my intention in this world. I will not be passing on this fear and lack, but thanks for weighing in, scarcity. Thanks for weighing in, fear. Money is an energy exchange, just like everything else. Whatever emotions you attach to it, you will perpetuate in yourself and others. If you guilt yourself and shame yourself, you will create and pass on that guilt and shame, even when you think you're being generous by abandoning yourself and what you need. If accessibility of prices is a concern and you want to help as many people as possible, as I do, then I have a couple of suggestions to sit with in yourself. Number 1, what is it that makes you believe that lowering your prices is the best thing for the other person or other people anyway? Has it ever been the case that you sprung for something you desired that was a stretch and thus called in more money into your life to fill that gap, and maybe even more? Why not allow them the same chance to discover their magic? Don't hog all the fun to yourself. Wink. 2, if you are in any kind of business in this world, you have many, many things you do for free. Your posts, your newsletters, your insights, your creations, and even if you do none of those things, your mere presence out there being shared and offered, answering questions, etc., your courage to show up and share your heart and your skills are all being poured out and received by people 100% gratis. All of that is literally pro bono. Are you counting it? If they are contacting you, it's because they've benefited from that in some way. It literally doesn't get more accessible than that. 3, when things have not been accessible to me, I have enjoyed putting those things on my dream list and setting my intention to receive the money I need to get or do that thing. Sometimes I may see the means manifest before my eyes, and thus grow further in my trust and my ability to do so, and then share that with others, who then share that with others, and on it goes, which I think is wonderful. And other times the means does not manifest for that thing, but the thing manifests in another way. And other times it just doesn't manifest at all, in which case I know that it is just not the right timing yet. And knowing that as long as I still want it, it will come, just not on my mind, ego's timeline or the way that I think it should. But it will come as long as I still want it and I surrender to life's greater intelligence. It literally doesn't matter what you price your stuff at, from the most expensive to the most cheap. No one gets to tell you how to do that. It matters the energy you do that with. Set your intention on love and abundance and a win-win-win for all involved, and ask for what you want. Let go of people's reactions and just deal with the reactions in yourself. That is how you set us all free. Ego's games say someone always has to lose. Scarcity and fear says the same thing. But you, the true you, can say that everyone wins. And just by making that your intention, you will begin to make that true in ways that you will not always see, but you set into motion nonetheless. You don't have to know how, just intend it and let go, and the steps will reveal themselves. Now I have to share this last little tidbit for a laugh. So me and my husband Kenny were taking the RV back to storage the other day after a beautiful long trip that I will have to tell you about another time. And I looked up the gas station nearby that we had been to before that has an RV dump station. When I did, I saw some reviews of people griping because the gas station had started charging $10 to dump instead of it being free. And one man's review said, quote, "The fact that they would charge for this from free to $10 shows the greed of the owners of this market." Triple exclamation points. I literally laughed out loud at the absurdity of this comment. But at the same moment, I had tremendous compassion for this man's painful view and the pain that he then felt propelled to lash out onto others. I thought, wow, this is the gas station market owner's property. Of course they are charging, as they should. I wonder how this man would feel if people wanted to come dump their turd pipes on his property for free. But this man has never even thought of that. And it's not his fault. His consciousness has not seen that other view. He is completely locked into the story he has heard repeated by the people around him since he was a child. And he is just repeating it, completely unconsciously, like a broken record. I have no doubt that he would not allow people to dump their turd pipes on his property for free, and I'm guessing he would have a lot to say about it and charge a lot more than $10. He points the finger at the other and calls them greedy while he feels fully justified in his entitlement to dump his turds for free. This is what the unchecked ego mind does. It accuses the other of doing the very thing it is doing in that moment. That man cannot see this. He has no awareness of this. It is completely unconscious programming running the show. It's an old pattern, and he's just repeating it. But when we're aware of the pattern, we can begin to step out. There are always going to be people who are that guy about your prices, no matter how much or little you charge. The key is, does it push your buttons? If it does, then that is your practice and your inner work to do. Otherwise, you'll be enslaved to the judgments of others and will have to give your power away to people like that and collapse or fight and defend all of your life. And you were not born for that mess. You were born to break that pattern and shine. Besides, other people's judgments are not even about you. They are about their own pain, which you cannot fix for them no matter how much you would like to. But you can set yourself free from your pain, which may inspire them to do the same. And if you'd like some help with all of that, then you know where to find me. Go to sunnychapman, sunnichapman.com/feast to check out my Feast or Famine No More course and membership. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you next Sunday.